Now, the most successful independent rapper of our era right now would have to be Russell. And if you count Russ, though he spent the bulk of his career as a signed artist through Columbia, he is now currently an unsigned artist to my degree. So we'll evaluate both case studies. Maybe if you're an independent artist or rapper looking to figure out new strategies or campaigns, I'm interested in A&R and interested in how independent rappers make their marketing budgets and how essentially they're getting their music heard, because that's the goal at the end of the day. You're competing with major label markets, and you're competing with these artists who have millions of dollars to throw at social media campaigns, radio, sync, and licensing. And if you're just an independent artist, you're like, how am I going to be able to get that attention and cut through? So I'm going to look at it, a few successful case studies, and we're going to look at Russell right now. He says it takes millions to become a successful artist, even more when you're independent and spending your own paper. This is not easy or cheap. This is just 90 days of advertising on one platform to make sure our art is seen, heard, and felt globally. This doesn't include seeding, clipping, YouTube, Spotify campaigns, etc. If you're competing against a machine, you have to build your own machine. The reason I've been able to get as big as some major artists is because I treat and invest in myself like a major artist. This is why it's important to buy direct and support your favorite artists outside of streaming, especially if they're independent. And he says in this screenshot in particular, LaRussell, new account name, has spent $120,000 on 64 ads in the last 90 days to give him a return on 19.5 million views, 5.4 million reach impressions, 5 million post engagement. And this is probably the most important metric, the direct link to either consume, buy, and take him to his own platform to where he can, reap the financial benefits, which is 479,000 link clicks. That's a lot. So I'm going to click on this link from LaRussell, and he's going to give you tips on how to break an artist.
If I had to start from square one, let's just do breaking an artist, right? When I find an artist I love, I usually sit them down and we make like a 5 to 7 song EP. Out of that 5 songs, I'm going to make at least 3 pieces of content for each song. That's 15 pieces. I'm going to schedule those 15 out. Whichever ones go more, I'm going to run ads behind them. And I'll start that at like $15 to $25 a day. So that shit just keeps building. If I can get them to break through and get enough base, I'll sell some merch and then I'll rinse and repeat. Keep doing that process until it comes time where they can do a show and they can sell tickets. Then I'll add a show in there, rinse and repeat. Mm-hmm. Do another project, do the same exact play, add something else, rinse and repeat. Yep. Simple as that.
Daily and consistency and through compounding interest. I think the most important concept in life in general, but especially if you're an artist watching this or into music marketing, A&R and stuff like that, that doing things on a consistent level leads to consistent results. And you can take advantage of the concept of compounding interest over time. Your efforts that you spend daily and the amount of money that you're spending daily will lead to stronger results as to just one campaign you throw $1,000 and just stop, right? And just look and just see what it did. But if you're doing this over time, of course you're going to have to budget. But what starts the train moving is organic push and organic reach, which I will look at Russ, his tips in terms of cutting through in this TikTok era and this social media era is, first, the music has to be good. So if you're familiar with Russ's story, he did a song a week for a crazy amount of weeks in the SoundCloud era, 2014 and 2015. He also dropped a numerous amount of mixtapes, maybe between 8 and 9 mixtapes, and they all did not get the reach that he wanted to, but it was all data to lead him into the next campaign, which he was like, I'm gonna release a song a week, which ended up blowing up for him because he says the music is good. It has to start with the product first. They have to believe in it. When organic reach is met, then other people can step in. You may have an investor, which Jordan Lucas had an investor going on in his career. You may be able to pair with other investors in these opportunities, but they want to see what's working for you at the ground level. So if you don't have the capital, which a lot of artists don't have the capital, you have to start with what you have. If you can only start out with a home studio and you have your iPhone, you're probably going to have to do iPhone videos. You're going to have to do iPhone videos and cut them up and clip them like you would, like a streamer would. You're going to have to approach marketing as if you were a streamer in order to get some sort of return. But I will continue with Russell, and then I will move to Russ and what he has to say in terms of just marketing your music and being able to make the most on your return. So he's spent $100,000, the Russell, in the last 90 days, but he's made back millions in his career. But obviously, you're going to have to start with what you have. So you may put in, $1,000, you may make back 100, but it's about compounding interest. If you do this over the long haul, you can't look at this as just a temporary investment, or just one thing will blow and lead to, exorbitant returns. It's going to be over time, which I think is going to be important in anything you do, especially artists. So let me continue with Russell.
Easy process.
And all of that money that you're bringing in from all that work that you did, you should
reinvest. You reinvest back into it. So in investing, they call it the drip formula. So every dividend or anything that you get from profit, you reinvest so that it compounds faster. So the more money that you're bringing in and you're putting it back into yourself, the more you're going to pay off in the end. And it's going to accelerate the more effort and more funds that you pull into it, but you have to be serious about your art.
Hold up. You sold 16 million.
More than that. I'm lowballing.
All right, but just lowball. And you got 13 million. And you got 13 million monthly listeners on Spotify. Yeah. But you sold 16 million singles.
Yeah.
Off of recording on a $2,500 setup recording
in an unfinished basement where you got to wait for the pipes to stop running.
So whatever you don't have with money in the beginning, you're going to have to compensate with time. You're going to have to spend a lot more of your time when you don't have the resources or the money to be able to allocate to other people to make your operation go immediately. And then over time, you'll be able to buy your time back.
I put out 11 mixtapes, trash. Like the first 8, trash. Just quality wise, they weren't there. And it's like, when I go look back, I'm like, okay, I can see why this didn't work.
Right.
This was not hard.
Right.
But at the time, I thought it was hard. And you need that delusional stain of self-confidence. But, once the music got to a place where it could compete, at that point, my approach was off.
That's where I want to start with first, that it has to be an organic push first before you start thinking about any sort of money, any sort of financial return, is that you have to spend that time in getting good and enjoying the product and making sure that at the time that you're putting out your music, the timing has to be right and that there's a gap in the market for you to thrive, because there's many artists and there's many different approaches. But to make sure that you succeed, you have to really stand back and look and see, where is there a gap in the market and where can I take advantage of it? So him coming from where he came from in terms of just 8 independent solo albums and was not able to have the impact that he had over time goes to show you that he had to focus on, why does my shit not sound as good as Drake? Why does my shit not sound as good as Kendrick? Why does my shit not sound as good as Cole? And figure out how he can tinker the creative process first before going back into the market.
99% of the time why artists are not blowing up, it's the music is not good enough. That's the harsh reality. My first 11 projects, the music was not good enough. This is me saying it. If you're an artist and you don't have the studio in the house, you are bullshitting. You gotta be able to get the reps in. In the industry, based off of fuck narratives, has convinced everyone to only care about the publishing. It's like, what? There's so much more money on the master. I remember watching my TuneCore checks go from $800 September of 2015 to like $1,000 in October, $2,500 in December, and then January it's 8, 16, it's 40, bro, it's 75. So I'm making $100,000 a month, not signed. So
that's the concept of compounding interest. And he's able to let you know how, because you're just seeing the dollar amount, right? But you're not seeing the catalog. You're going to make the majority. And this is how major labels bank on their money, when they can afford for certain investments to flop, because there's more artists that flop on a major label than succeed, right? But they're able to bankroll that and able to continue to invest in other products because they own the master, they own the catalog. So making sure that you have a catalog to stand on, you may have that one song that pops off or one song that takes off, but they're going to want to come back to your Apple Music or, your Bandcamp or wherever you're advertising music on these days, maybe your own website, which, it should be direct to consumer as much as possible in this era, because TikTok is taking it away from just you being able to follow and invest in an artist's story and an artist's catalog and appreciate their long form content and their life's work. TikTok is just focused on the moment and the short form content. So probably if you're an artist watching this, you should have a home base where they can go direct to consumer and invest in you in as much as they can. So you don't have to worry about the percentages that Spotify takes and what you're being paid out. You can completely eliminate that and cut the middleman out and go straight to consumer, and they can just buy from you, which I highly recommend.
I'm making $100,000 a month, not signed. Kylie Jenner is posting, pull the trigger and losing control. When fans can be invited to come along on the journey on the ground level, they're gonna fuck with you way harder. This shit is a gauntlet navigating this shit, man. There's so much like fuckery that goes on, and you know, just like whether it's promoters, whether it's people fucking up like the release of something, whatever.
Could be anything.
So much shit that's gonna be a point of conflict of the artist having to hit the manager that what the fuck happened.
When you have disagreements with the team, how do you productively get through it?
We're working on that now, man.
I feel like you are arguably the most successful independent artist of all.
Yeah, between him and Russell are probably the most successful independent rappers. I can't speak of all genres, it's probably different artists, but in terms of what's going to help you is consistency. You have to get over your fear of just fear in general, fear of perfection, fear of being perceived, fear of failure. All that has to be out the window. And if you have anybody working in your operation, communication, right? Communication, and manage your expectations. Completely manage your expectations. You're not going to be making $100,000 a month out the gate, $100 million. You have to determine what success is for you. But the potential is limitless if you apply yourself and put as much time as you can into it and much effort. I'm not going to say that I've ever made $100,000 off content, $100 million, but I'm just looking at the case studies that have made millions of dollars and thousands of dollars. And even on a smaller scale of what I've been able to do to make thousands of dollars on YouTube, the concept is the same thing. It's about consistency and compounding interest over time and reinvesting yourself. Whatever money you do have, reinvest into your operation, reinvest into, your camera, if you want a Shure microphone, if you want a new interface, you're going to reinvest, and you're going to reinvest into your time. So you got to look at yourself realistically of what you can contribute. You may have a full-time job, right? So if you're spending 40 hours a week and you're spending this amount of time sleeping, you may have to cut back on spending weekends out with friends and cut back on vacations, cut back on trips, and really lock in, really devote yourself to your craft and devoting yourself to capitalizing on your time in the best way you can. But, let me know your approaches to this as an artist and what's been working for you successfully, what has been things that you have changed over time, and let me know some strategies that you think are important for independent artists to maximize their profit and just maximize their reach, and at the core tenet, the core value of it, making sure that your music is heard. All right, Steve Levine, as always, I be safe. Shwee.